Yeah, that's what I did. So probably 25-ish. A lot of people didn't register, but I'm getting their money, so that's good.
Okay, where are you going to park?
Wherever you
Yeah,
want to
wherever
park.
you want.
You're just waiting for me to give him water.
I know that. Oh, I don't have two chairs. So I put it up already.
Well, you or I don't get to decide on that.
Yes, yes, sir. That is correct. Hi, Ms. Benson.
Academy Awards have been announced. So I was thinking today, oh man, what a good day to announce Academy Awards. But next week we're going to do something.
Oh, yeah.
Well, actually, I'm going to do something and have some Broadway music playing. Like come out and have some music from Broadway playing.
Very good. Oh, yeah, that's not. I don't know how it goes today when I replace some parts of the core.
Welcome and good afternoon, everybody, for what's going to be a fantastic meeting this afternoon. Thanks for being here today, and it's great to see the room full of love and support for our special program today, which we'll talk more about shortly. If you're joining us virtually, please make sure that you put your name into the chat. We're going to start off with the four-way test. Ray Rosman, would you step up to the podium, please?
Thanks. I need lots of help with this. Lots of help. 1. Is this the truth? 2nd, is it fair to all concerned? 3rd, will better friendships. And 4th, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you. You all passed.
And Lori Harnick, if you would step up to the podium for our land acknowledgement today.
We acknowledge that our meeting today is taking place on the traditional and homeland of the Puyallup people. We acknowledge that this land was not freely ceded to the settlers who claimed it. We recognize and honor the significance of this land and its waters to the Puyallup people who have lived on and stewarded this land for centuries and continue to do so today.
All right, Lori.
Thank you, Lori. You may all be seated now. And Dan Bogart is going to come around. And if you are a visiting Rotarian or a member with a guest, please stand and he will bring you the microphone. Visiting Rotarians, please tell us where you are visiting from. Members, please introduce your guests.
Good morning, folks, or good afternoon almost. Jim Tedesco, I've got a couple of guests to introduce. I'll let Colleen introduce herself because she is a Rotarian, and then I'll introduce Sean.
Colleen Turner, visiting Rotarian from Bellevue Breakfast Rotary Club, classification, hunger relief advocate.
And it is my honor today to introduce Sean Walton. I keep saying Watson, sorry, Sean. We've been a little dyslexic this morning, so my apologies for that. She manages the food program for school districts through the Food Connection, St. Leo's on Hilltop, which serves some 12, a lot of kids. So we'll talk about it shortly, but let's welcome Sean. She manages that program.
Hi everyone, Claire Eichen with Emergency Food Network, and I'm excited to introduce 2 new team members with EF Benefit Club today. I have Clayton Hagelin, who's our new Corporate Foundation Relations Coordinator, and then Molly Meyer, who's our new Development Manager.
Thank you. Jim Whitaker, Director Emeritus of Lindquist Dental Clinic for Children. It is my distinct honor today, you both stand please, to introduce Jim Harris's 2 daughters, Christy Smith and Jenny Selleck, and Christy has a few words.
We just wanted to say how touched and deeply proud and deeply honored we are for this recognition of my father. I didn't want to cry, but you know, my dad was amazing, and my mom and dad would be down and so deeply honored. Thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Noel Ostrander. I'm a visiting Rotarian from the Hawks Prairie Club in Lacey, and my classification is communications. I'm also the current president of that club, and I work for a company called Light Curve, based here out of Tacoma. I also have two guests. I have Tim Batter, also works with me at Light Curve, and Jonah Hartfield, who also works with me at Light Curve and is interested in possibly joining your club.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lori Arndt with Goodwill. I have the pleasure of hosting Cheryl Lee, who is the Executive Director of the Korean Women's Association.
Hi guys, Stacy Ogle, and I have the honor of introducing my partner in parenting, longtime partner in business, and now partner in retirement, which means cribbage and gin rummy. No, Ed Ogle.
Randy, do we have anybody joining us virtually thus far?
Not yet.
Not yet. All right. Well, they can watch it as a recording later if they choose to. Thanks, Dan, for passing the mic around. Now, it's time for anniversaries, everybody. So if your name is called, please stand and be recognized. We're going to start off with, at 39 years, George Howe. And not to be discounted for another 39 years, Pete Taylor, 39 years. And somebody who we're going to hear a lot from today, 35 years, Stacy Ogle. At 30 years, Marilyn Pannon. Jeff Albers with 26 years. Emily Mendez Bryant with 11 years. And Libby Catalinich with 10 years. And now, Jim and Colleen, I'd like to invite you both up to the podium.
Stacy, you'll have to readjust that here in a minute. Sean, could you come up, please?
Sure.
Folks, I serve on the board of Harvest Against Hunger, one of the largest food gleaning and hunger advocacy groups in the region. And it is my honor today, and I know you met Colleen Turner, who's our development director for the nonprofit. Every year we put out 10 $1,000 grants to hunger relief organizations throughout the state, across the 6 districts. Typically we get every district to participate. This year I partnered with Diane Telstra as a board member and an advocacy member. It's pretty tough for me to fill out the grant because I help judge getting the grant. So we kept it honest. Diane actually filled out the grant, and there's a large group of us on the advocacy committee that voted on those. And of course, we chose the Food Connection for the work they do in hunger relief with kids in schools. So Dawn Shawwalton, I got that right finally, is here. She directs a program that serves, and I'm going to let her talk just very briefly.
Okay.
And I'll present it.
Sorry. Okay, thank you. Our program is a children's feeding program at St. Leo's Food Connection, and we have 43 schools within Pierce County, Tacoma, Lakewood, and Puyallup, and we serve almost 4,000 kids weekly. When I started the program, this is my 3rd school year, I had 800 kids I was serving. And just today, we took in 10 more kids that needed the extra support over the weekends, and I said yes, because I don't know how to say no to hungry kids. So this grant means a lot to us. In fact, $1,000 will purchase at least 3 weeks worth of healthy snacks. So thank you.
One last comment before I get off the stage. Hunger's up in most of our food banks by 20 to 25%. In spite of the economy being well, poor people are not doing well. So there's a lot of work to be done. We're about ready to lose a $300,000 grant that funds this program. So don't be surprised if my face shows up on a grant within our own club with Sean so that we can get that program funded. Thanks for your support.
Thank you.
I would like to acknowledge Jim, who's a very hardworking member of the Harvest Against Hunger Board.
Thank you, Jim, Colleen, and Sean. Now, I didn't see Mary Lynn. Is she floating around in here anywhere? Oh, that's right. She's in Arizona, enjoying sunshine and the opposite of being cold that we're experiencing right now. But you all know Mary Lynn, who is a fantastic person. We want to thank her so much for sponsoring the meeting today. Remember, if she were here, she'd probably say, we're always looking for meeting sponsors. And if you'd like to learn more about being on the vocational committee, please check out the vocational committee, which Mary Lynn and Cindy chair.
That's right.
There you go. I think I channeled it well enough there. Totally. All right. Now, it's that time of our program, that time of the year. It's an important day today. We are going to invite up last year's Lifetime Achievement Award recipient, Kathy Willis, to introduce today's program. Kathy, it's all yours.
Thanks, Chris. For those of you who don't know, right after our club celebrated its 100th year anniversary in 2010, a group of past presidents got together and said, we're a club that's 100 years old. We need to start recognizing members of our club as Lifetime Achievement Award winners. Well, it took a little while to get that process going, but thanks to some very dedicated volunteers, we've been awarding the Lifetime Achievement Award since 2019. This recognizes somebody who has 20 years more service in Rotary. And so far, the people who have received the award, those 20 years have been within our club. And you can tell by the anniversaries, the dedication of our club members. Our first award in 2019 went to Kat Pearson. Our second award in 2020 went to our wonderful Jim Harris, and that was in 2020. Jim Henderson received the award in 2021, and then Jim Whitaker in 2022. Mike Dunbar broke the mold, and we stopped with the Jims and moved on to the Lions. Mike Dunbar received the award in 2023, and then I really broke the mold and received the award last year. The board in 2023, upon the recommendation of a number of members, decided to rename this award the Jim M. Harris Lifetime Achievement Award. And so this is the first year that we're honoring Jim, our past member, our past district governor, our past president in this way. And we're just thrilled that Christy and Jenny can be here as we celebrate Jim in this special way and know that this memory will live on forever, as long as this club is going, and it's going to go at least another 100 years. Again, as I mentioned, have so many long tenured members in the club. Another wonderful member was also nominated this year, did not receive the award, but I'd like to acknowledge Larry Treelevin for all the wonderful work. So there's our history. Now let's talk about a really special person. It's just an honor for me. I followed Stacy along. She started before I did in this club, and she's just a marvel. And it's an honor for me to be able to introduce our 2025 Lifetime Achievement Award winner, Stacy Ogle.
Sit down, heavens. You guys, thank you very much. It is incredibly humbling to be acknowledged by your peers, by your friends like this. But I think it's really elevated by the fact that you're Rotarians. I've come to know Rotary members worldwide to be some of the most generous, most serious agents of change in this world. And the world knows that. World Health Organizations know that. Governments know that. And so sometimes we can get a little focused on our group, but I recognize you and me as a part of a larger fellowship. And it's so honoring to be acknowledged by you guys. So thank you. And I get to do the technology part here, right? Do I have to point it at something?
Well, let's find out. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't.
There we go. So, okay, let's see if it advances. If it doesn't, technical help, please. Nope. Oh, there we go. Don't go past that now. Okay. You just heard this list of amazing folks. It's an amazing honor for me to be listed among them. This award each year recognizes one person, but I guarantee you that every single one of those people would say loudly, as I do, that this is not about one person's activity. Each one of those people was supported by, first of all, their family, and then by this community of like-minded, hardworking Rotarians that give in every way they can to support their city and their world. So it's a huge honor to join them in this list. If this award has a second purpose, and I think it does, it's to inspire greater engagement on the part of Rotary members. And as we do that, we tend to recognize one person. And I got to thinking, there's so many people in this room. This room is so full of really long tenured, giving people. It's kind of silly to have it all wasted on one person. So I decided that I'm going to take a book from President Chris's, a page from his book, and I'm going to share the spotlight today with some of you guys, because we have a rich club. We saw the anniversaries. We saw how many people have been here for a long time. So one of my favorite things in Rotary is table talks. So we're going to have table talks during my presentation today. So what I'm going to ask, if I can advance the slide, is that I want you guys to take a minute around your table and figure out who the longest term Rotarian is at your table. Figure out your pecking order. This is your seniority list. Because you're going to be asking those people questions at several points in today's presentation. So if you have a minute, figure out who your long-termers are. You might be lucky enough to have many, but figure out the pecking order. Here you go. Start. Okay, now Randy. Okay, guys, you didn't hear it, but the screen is telling you time's up. Hopefully you got it figured out. So, was it hard? I didn't think it would be that difficult. So now you know who your long-termers are, and you're going to get some answers from them going forward. So, you get to hear a little bit about me. So, my journey with Rotary started with my dad. Lloyd Silver was a 54-year member of Rotary 8. And he was a Rotary member as long as I can remember. I have so many good memories of his involvement in Rotary from a kid's perspective. One of those is fun, and I share that with Whitney Grisafi, whose dad was Warren Brown, a longtime Rotarian. But I can remember Whitney, her sisters, and I, and many other young girls dressing up in our party dresses with our black patent leather Mary Janes to go with our dads to the annual Daddy-Daughter Christmas Rotary Luncheon at the Winthrop Hotel in downtown Tacoma in the 60s to get a candy cane from Santa Claus. So great memories of those times. I also have some memories of some galley sides. So galley sides used to often be on Maury Island at Dockton. And we had a beach house on Vashon Island right across the bay from that. So it wasn't uncommon for the party to continue at our beach house. And my responsibility in that, I was the one who rowed the dinghy back and forth from the boats that were tied up buoys into the house so that people could continue partying. And then late at night in the dark with relatively inebriated Rotarians rowing them back up to the boat and watching them try to get on their boat from a dinghy. To my memory, I don't remember anyone falling overboard, but they may have. So those are really good memories. So then I find myself in 1990. I'm a 29-year-old woman. I'm a mother of my first son. And Ed and I find ourselves as owners and operators of kind of an upside-down manufacturing business. Way over our heads. No real experience in this. So it's a mountain to climb. And we take it on. And shortly thereafter, Dad says, "You're a business owner. You need to join Rotary." So I joined Rotary. I didn't know what to expect. And that was 1990. Women began being allowed into Rotary 8 in 1987. So there were very few women in the club. I became the youngest member of the club. And I certainly had not earned my stripes as a business person yet. So I definitely was jumping into the deep end with ankle weights on. So you're going to ask your long-term table folks, and you only have a few minutes to do this. What was your inspiration? Why did you join Rotary? Who was your sponsor? What did you expect? So take a couple minutes and get that story out of your long-term table folks. Start now.
As much as you can turn the volume of that soundbite up, you might hear it. Get it as loud as you can, because that's how I'm going to get your attention. That sounds like
My first experiences were he gave a check. So I thought that
I hope that was enough time. It's so fun to be up here and listen to the laughter. That's what I was hoping would happen. So, my dad's business partner was a guy named Jerry Darling. That's the reason that my dad and brother's business all these years was J.L. Darling Corporation. Jerry Darling had one son, Peter Darling. Peter is a long-loved Rotary 8 member, and we just lost him last year. So many of us miss him dearly. Peter knew me from birth, so he was like an uncle to me. So when I got the opportunity to join Rotary, I asked Peter to be my sponsor. I don't think that made my dad very happy, but it was important to me. So as a friend, as I was a young business person and a young Rotarian, Peter and I had lunch together all the time. And I could talk to him about challenging business situations. I could talk with him about challenging family situations because he knew my family quite well. And Peter took that time too to coach me, to share with me what Rotary was really about. He talked to me a lot. Now, Peter was a curious, generous, and very kind man who was passionate about youth and education. Peter was on our Rotary Youth Exchange Committee, I think forever. He hosted exchange students, and his daughter was an exchange student. He was also on our literacy committee forever. And anytime our club had a program where he'd go into schools and teach kids, Peter was first in line. And I followed as closely as I could his leadership. But Peter took it a step further, no big surprise. Instead of just that 1 hour a week where we'd go in and work with the first and third grader to teach them, help them learn their reading skills and get up to skill, Peter walked through life with a lot of those kids. He didn't drop them in the third grade. He continued his relationship with many of those kids through junior high, through high school, and into college. He even helped fund some of their college educations. Now that is service above self. That was one of the people that was a huge example to me and one of my foundations in Rotary. Another one was a guy that you old timers are going to recognize the name of dearly, Bill Leak. For whatever reason, when I was a new Rotarian, Bill Leak took me under his wing. He mentored me, he coached me. He was so good to me. And there's a statement that Bill made all the time that many people in here could quote, but I'm going to. And he used to say all the time, it's not what you do Thursday from noon to 1:30 that makes you a Rotarian. It's what you do Thursday from 1:30 until the following Thursday at noon that makes you a Rotarian. Bill lived that, and he impacted my life deeply. So I have a great foundation in understanding what service really meant in Bill Leak and Peter Darling. They were huge to me. So our long-term table stars, share with your table someone who inspired you, someone who showed you what it meant to live service above self. Begin. Am I giving you enough time? Okay, good. So, life is busy. We live with lots of pressures. And sometimes Rotary can ask a lot. I'm wondering if you guys have ever thought of quitting Rotary. I have, more than once. One of the times that I remember was in 2009. Busy life. Ed and I had a couple of teenage boys that we were chasing their sports and activities all over the countryside. I was then operating as the production manager of our business, Coal Graphic Solutions, so really long hours there. And I was volunteering in leadership in my church. I was pretty busy. And then Rotary used to strive for 100% attendance. Now, Rotary used to take attendance. And if you didn't meet the minimum, you would get a nice reminder that you either needed to correct that or leave the club. They don't do that anymore. But I attended faithfully. I always served on at least one committee, sometimes two, and typically chaired a committee. And at this point, I was just finishing up my second term on the board of directors. And Rotary hit a rough spot. We hit a little bit of a crisis and had some kind of ugly politics. That can happen in groups this size, even in Rotary. So I got discouraged. I was disillusioned. And I thought, life's too busy. I don't need this. So I wrote a respectful letter of resignation, that I still have a copy of, and I sent it in to Rotary. I got a phone call from Jeff Rounds, who was the incoming president. Called up and said, let's go to coffee. We sat down at coffee and he listened. He listened a lot. He let me vent. He let me complain. He let me say, I expect better from Rotarians. I don't understand why this happened. This is Rotary. Let me get through it. And then he said, instead of quitting, why don't you just take a step back? Pull back on your involvement if you need to. But give some time to see if this can heal. See if you can change your attitude. Another person who had some input on this decision was my dad, because we were approaching 2010, which was our Rotary Club's centennial, our 100-year big deal. In 2010, my dad would also be celebrating his 50th Rotary anniversary, and I was celebrating my 20th. My dad thought that was something really cool. He was very proud of that. And he really discouraged me from throwing in the towel at that lousy point in time. So fortunately, those two encouraged me to stay, and obviously I did. And boy, am I glad I did. So, long-term table stars, share, if you have one, a story of a time that you just thought, you know what, this isn't worth it. I'm going to quit. You're here, so either you didn't or you came back. But take a minute to share that if you've got one. Go ahead.
I'm sure since you've been in some.
Yeah, we already got more time. Do you ever have a chance
And for me, that really invigorates.
I think there's some good stories happening up there. It's fun to hear some fun names. I appreciate it. So, change happens, usually for a good reason. In my 35 years in this club, I have seen so many service projects, traditions, social events come and go. So I want to tell you about one of my favorites. We used to have a service project that was called Holiday Phone Calls. And this was back when I see these nodding heads, back when people didn't have cell phones. And long-distance international phone calls were very expensive. We had a number of immigrants living in Tacoma that were looking for opportunities to make phone calls home. So businesses in downtown Tacoma that had lots of phones, like Merrill Lynch, would open up their offices on a Saturday, and Rotarians would drive immigrants down to the phone bank so that they could call much-loved family members that they typically didn't get to talk to for free, as long as they wanted to. They could make multiple calls. The fun for us was picking them up and ferrying them down to the phones and then bringing them back. I remember my minivan full of lovely families of Russian people and East Indian people and Cambodian people chatting away as we drive downtown. And then I'd wait for them. They get back in the van and I take them back home, chatting away, having such a good time. Of course, I couldn't understand a word they were saying. But I felt the joy. Their hearts were full of joy. And that filled my heart up. That was such a simple thing. It really made an enormous difference to people. Now, that service project is irrelevant today. We have cell phones, we have WhatsApp, we can communicate with people around the world whenever we want to. So we have to acknowledge that change is good, and we have to acknowledge that we have to keep looking forward to the next needs our community has. We need to readjust and be sure that we're still there to meet the practical needs of people. But so, another question for our longtime table stars. Is there a Rotary tradition, a service project, or maybe a social that you missed? We don't do it anymore, and you liked it. Why'd you like it? Share with your friends.
I live on their block.
This holiday, I felt that that way.
Yeah, there were some of those.
Looks like you guys are having fun. I hope you are. It's fun to watch. So for me, this experience barely scratches the surface of the way Rotary has impacted my life. As a business person, I had mentors, advisors, and really good models of ethical business dealings. You taught me service. About my first 15 years in Rotary, all of my service was in committees that were club management and local. I had zero interest in international service. At about the 15-year mark, I thought, do something that you're uncomfortable with, get on the International Service Committee, maybe you'll like it. And it completely opened my eyes to the global work, the Rotarians that are arm in arm with us all around the world, that are making change every day. I fell in love, I found a new passion for Rotary, and it has deeply impacted mine and Ed's life. We have dear friends across the world now that are like family to us. But probably the people in this room are the biggest reason I'm grateful for Rotary. You guys are the people that I have painted houses with and painted fireboats with. You're people that I have planted trees with and filled backpacks with and built a Habitat for Humanity house with. You're people that I've set up auctions with, stood in the freezing cold ringing Salvation Army bells with, and sported sticky green hair with. You guys sharpen me, you teach me, and you inspire me. And for that, I am forever grateful. So I would like you to join me in thanking our table stars today for sharing their stories with you. I think that was really fun. And I have another very special thank you to my amazing husband, Ed, who for 35 years has been incredibly patient with all of my Rotary activities. He has hosted with me countless events at our various homes over the years, and he has fully endorsed every bit of the financial investment we've made in Rotary work. So thank you, Ed, very much. Thank you, Rotary, for all you've done for me. You're a big part of the reason I'm the person I am today. So thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Talk about a fantastic presentation. We have a presentation for you, not as good as the one you just did for us, but we do have something for you. Number one, we have your certificate presented to you today, your Lifetime Achievement Award. And we also have a check near and dear to your heart for a cause for Malaria Partners. Another big round of applause. And talk about turning the spotlight back on all of us. What a way to celebrate your Lifetime Achievement Award, but making us reflect on ourselves and the stories that we have within the club. So thank you, Stacy, for a great lunchtime period of fellowship and learning new things. I know at my table I've learned a lot that I've never known before. So it's fantastic and fun. We have a few announcements today. Number one, Thursday, January 30th. Is our next meeting, and that is the Tacoma Youth Symphony who will be here, and it is interactive as well with some samba drums, so be ready to have a little bit of fun. And then right after, we are doing an in-service project with St. Vincent de Paul. Gil, I saw your hand pop up.
Yeah, on the samba drums, they're going to look for some of us to lead the interactive, so we need at least 12 volunteers at that day.
So they need 12 volunteers for next week. Get those hands ready to volunteer. Speaking of St. Vincent de Paul, we do have a community service project on Saturday, February 1st from 10 to 1 with them. You can sign up online to assist with that. We also are taking nominations for our Community Service Award. This person will be honored at our meeting on Thursday, March 27th, or receive a contribution from our club to his or her favorite charitable organization. Those forms are due the 27th of February. They can be found in those yellow folders on your table or on the website. And speaking of the yellow folders, inside our sign-up sheets for our next fireside on Thursday, February 13th, the day before Valentine's Day. Our firesides last quarter were the heaviest attended firesides post-pandemic. Let's see if we can beat that record again and have an even better tip. That was something we were talking about at our table, were firesides and how big they used to be back in the day. So let's make them get bigger and bigger and bigger. I'm sure the committee will love that. If you're interested in being a host, please let David know. There's a form. Get those into David by Friday, February 7th, so we can start distributing who goes where. We know there's another red flag day down in LA, so the wildfires happening in LA. If you still like to be part of making a difference, there's the QR code up there that you can scan for. And you know, it is a day where we've been reflecting and spotlighting ourselves, so we do have some time for true confessions. If anybody has any true confessions they'd like for today. Quiet. Oh, I see somebody standing up. There's somebody coming up. Barbara, you will be our true confession if nobody else decides to step up. There's Corey.
It's hard to follow Stacy's program. That was just outstanding. What an outstanding woman. I'm just so pleased. On that, I want to announce that life is certainly full of surprises. And then sometimes something happens that makes you giggle so much you pee in your pants. The Canadian Authors Association, selected about 30 books to be presented in a jigsaw puzzle, and one of my books was chosen. I'm in a jigsaw puzzle. It will be sold through novelty shops and bookstores throughout Canada, and also available in Tacoma, Washington on Saturday, April 26th at our Rotary auction.
Hi, Corey Jolseth with Evergreen Home Loans, and I was thinking on the drive to Rotary today, two things that I've done in the last 2 days that I'm really thankful for. Yesterday, I've got two grandchildren that go to St. Pat's Elementary School here in Tacoma, And I get to volunteer, and when I say I get to, I get so much out of this, but I went yesterday and read to my grandson Patrick's class for about a half an hour, and it is so fun seeing the kids' reactions to the story that I read. And then today, you'll recall last week, Carol Webster talked about Read to Me 2.0, which is called Talk Time at Tacoma Community House. Well, I did that immediately before this meeting, went there at 10:30, and I got to talk to, just have casual conversations with immigrants to this country, and it was so humbling to talk to people primarily from Ukraine who have made our community their homes. And I just wanted to put a plug in for all of you because it makes me so grateful to live in this community. Thanks.
I don't want to follow Corey or Stacy. Great. My name is Linda K. Briggs. I am your district governor nominee. But today is a very special day for me. And I have no script, so I'm going to try and get through it. It's a special day for me because of Jim Harris and Stacy Martin. I am on this path. Stacy Martin. I went to school with her, Martin. It's Stacy Ogle. But for those two people, Jimmy Harris, and Stacy are the reasons that I'm on this path for 4 years. Without their belief in me, without their inspiration in me, without being a little bit of a smart ass, both of them, and asking me, well, why can't you do it? I stand before you humbly, trying not to disappoint those two people. So congratulations.
My name is Annie Frisbee, and since today we're talking about immigrants, which you literally touched in every table, being an immigrant myself and listening to Stacey speak about how work internationally and Mike Dunbar being able to support kiddos who are reading, I have to say, true confessions, my husband just relocated to the US last year, and we're having to learn English the American way. So I just said, and thank you, Dan, for helping me. I just say to Mike Dunbar, committee, and Dan said comedy. I said, what? Same thing. Today, I'm very honored. Thank you, Linda Kay, for being that person who has dragged me everywhere to ensure I get to meet amazing folks in the community. I have never been a Rotarian before, but I am loving what I'm seeing here. And I must say, I've lived in Seattle and Nairobi, and I must say, Tacoma is an absolutely amazing community. And you guys have made it feel like home. I don't feel like an alien or a foreigner. I feel like a person. And I'm truly, truly humbled to be part of this community. So Linda Kay, this is to you. Thank you. Congratulations. You deserve that award and many more to come. Congratulations.
Some great true confessions today. We want to thank a few people who helped out with today. Number one, our program today, Stacy Ogle. Grant Kim on tech, as I always plug, if you'd like to involve with that. David or Randy. Greg Goldsmith, who did our four-way test. Lori Martin, who read our land acknowledgement. Dan Bogart for being our greeter and roving microphones. And Debbie Regala for being our story writer today. Now it's time to take heart, what Stacey told us all today, and go out and make some magic in Rotary and reading.
Yeah, just about. Yeah. There you go.